G'day there, ladies and gents of the internet. I am the Braveheart Aussie and welcome to a journey in world building. We are back today for the second of our three-part deep dive into the ancient grime-punk mega-engineering world of Onov. Last episode we introduced the world, its broken, shattered, rubble-strewn surface, its instability, and the general lack of structural foundations for building. This environment forges a culture and an economy on Onov where every little bit of stable landmass, every outcropping, every rocky crag, every plateau hosts something of substance and of value to the people of the world. As flagged in the first episode of this setting, Onov was a Wave 1 scattering candidate within the Primer Codex, owing to its favourable albeit slight biosignatures and habitability scores. This meant that initial colonisation efforts failed in response to the onset of the Malady. Onov was subsequently colonised with the aid of the fog, and a combination of former Eastern European settlers from Ukraine, Moldova, Belarus and Poland formed the core of Wave 2. This settlement wave confirmed the planet was ancient, having existed in orbit around a hyperstable red dwarf star for longer than any recorded system. This meant that the surface had inevitably deteriorated in terms of stability, owing to erosion, tectonic and volcanic activity throughout the planet's history, resulting in a limit of 50,000 people at the time of active colonisation ceased. This limit proved critical, however, to the early economic and social sustainability, and ultimately the success of the colony, as the population ended up being supported by a large investment of infrastructure by the URA, including mobile fabrication and assembly arrays. This capacity was provided in direct response to the challenges of colonising an otherwise habitable world and the expectation of that the initial population would be much larger. This resulted in local education skills and training biasing almost exclusively towards the maintenance operation of this infrastructure, as in the absence of these workers, such a boon of productive capacity could have gone to waste and deteriorated rapidly over time. This singular commitment to maintaining the extraordinary productive capacity of the world saw Onovian society and its people learn to shun finery, status and consumerism in favour of mass utility. This meant the design, artistic flair and even basic cleanliness were secondary to that of ensuring competitive advantages of the Onovian economy were maintained in the long term. To an outsider, Onovian technology and engineering appears crude, functional, and utilitarian, with rust, grease, and grime ever present. However, such appearances belie a focus on operational efficiency and productivity, with machines and equipment exhibiting surface rust or grime, but are otherwise in perfect working condition. This has led to Onov having something of a grime punk appearance to outsiders. This focus on utility above all else has meant that Onovians possess one of the highest levels of material abundance, with all basic needs met across the entirety of society, though the concepts of luxury items or even personal possessions, beyond those of essentials, being foreign or alien ideas. Despite appearances, cleanliness and sanitation actually have a very high standard, as is food quality, with comprehensive domestic supplies of both hydroponically grown and artificial foodstuffs. Healthcare is universal, with the population and preventative health a major focus on planetary investment, and implemented and adopted with strong public support. This has led to high life expectancies, with industrial, environmental, or other personal accidents being the most common cause of death. At the time of the Dark Diaspora, there are over 1 million residents of Onov, spread across settlements between 50 and 75,000 people in size. Settlements are limited to a handful of former mountain ranges on the planet that have been subject to considerable erosion and formed into a series of rolling, mostly bedrock-focused plateaus. Cities are rare, with the capital city of Onov City being the only real dedicated metropolitan area and home to 150,000 people, or 15% of the population on the planet. Instead, residential areas tend to be part of predominantly industrial mega-engineering structures, providing an in situ localised workforce to support planetary productive capacity. Living quarters are typically small, with a focus on small family units, communal eating and bathing areas, and collective entertainment. This has resulted and fostered a strong communalist culture on the planet, with cities and settlements developing their own unique identifiers that often take primacy over planetary identity. Educational standards on Onov are exceptionally high and far exceed that of almost all other locations in Dark Diaspora, especially in relation to areas such as applied physics and mathematics, advanced engineering, and industrial design. In fact, Onovian graduates are highly sought out across the galaxy for their skills. School attendance is compulsory, with a strong focus again on practical learning of advanced skills in engineering, design, innovation, with annual competitions across all age groups in the wider population, strongly supported with major prizes. Post-school technical training colleges, or TTCs, are almost universally attended and produce some of the highest standard of engineering graduates, particularly in the fields of high-load mega engineering, planetary surface construction, and advanced AG field research and sciences. The economy of Onov functions externally as a Thrall world of the hegemony, with Galador-related colonization and settlement projects being a major source of revenue. Thrall slaves are notionally provided by the planet each year, representing the top graduates of the TTCs across a series of fields. These individuals are slaves only in the fact that they are immediately deployed into senior roles as career engineers of major hegemony world-building projects, but in reality, they are effectively career public servants, receiving significant remuneration, high standards of living, and almost complete personal autonomy. This has seen the Thrall world status of the planet in effect function more as a postgraduate career path of choice, with students personally nominating to become career engineers of the hegemony as part of the planet's Thrall world tribute. Despite significant personal remuneration, typically from princely-owned megacorporations, most Onovian career engineers live simple lives and understated focus on comfort and convenience over excess and gluttony, and there continues to be a strong transfer of wealth from these engineers back to their families and settlements on Onov. Outside of the engineering slaves, there is a strong focus on the production and export of high-intensive energy cells. Charged using the coalesced energies of gravitational and geomagnetic interfaces with highly manipulated AG fields, these charging nodes can only be manifested through the mega engineering structures, often 20 to 30 miles high and extending over 50 miles in diameter. These structures, referred to as geomagnetic energy coalescing arrays, or GECAs, provide the necessary scale for radical interpretations of AG field sciences to be manifested, with only the expertise of Onovian engineers and technicians capable of creating and maintaining such structures. Other major exports include modular planetary infrastructure systems, such as modular planetary roads and rail networks, large-scale and micro-power systems, colonial hydroponics systems, and even planetary geomagnetic stabilization networks. There is limited off-world economic activity within the system outside of extensive mining operations, with the focus on extracting available resources for use in the planetary production. There is a 10,000 strong mining and extraction operation on the copper regolith moon of Nyra, for example. Internally, there is a strong centralized communalist economic structure, with housing, education, food, healthcare, and security all provided without cost by local centralized associations. The Gal dollar is the official currency on the planet, though it has limited usage outside of the basic universal income and the purchasing of small convenience items, supplementary foodstuffs, homewares, and similar products by households. There is, however, a robust service economy focused on things like physical training, massage, personal recreation. There is also an incredibly popular national sport, which is a combination of like basketball and the Basque game of highlight, which is very popular as a form of recreation, participation, as well as entertainment. There also remains a significant formalized bartering and trade-based domestic economy, particularly as it relates to things like tools, equipment parts, and other secondary production items and inputs. The economy lacks an overt profit motivation and functions more as a meritocratic economy through personal recognition and the achievement of highly prized grants and other resource allocations. Resource allocation decisions are made by association committees. These committees represent decision-making bodies within the local governments of the association, comprised of a rotating membership drawn from the general population at random, who serve full-time for 2-year terms, taking effective leave from their substantive position. The closest comparable system of resource allocation, such as that within the associations of Onov, would be that of like competitive research grants for research institutions and universities, with individuals or groups of individuals referred to as cooperatives, also colloquially referred to as garages, often developing prototypes or undertaking projects or research around different technologies and ideas, and then bidding for resources from their local association, or even from the global federal association. These resources are sometimes financial through the deployment of hard currency earnings from trade and repatriations, but also often involve procurement and allocation of inputs and supplies to enable the activities. This includes the allocation of space for production and testing, though this is often the most lucrative resource available. While there are significant shares of total floor space in settlements and structures allocated for commercial and industrial purposes, orbital space amongst the 8 manned toroid stations, as well as outpost spaces across the planet, are highly coveted. Similar to local committees, a comparable communalist representative governance structure exists for global management. Representatives from each of the 12 major settlement associations, themselves selected at random, nominate one of their members as a settlement representative for the Global Federal Association, or GFA. This 12-member GFA then elects a leader or a commander general from its number and vests that person and their technocratic cabinet with executive authority for a period of 2 years. While not always, this position is often held by the representative of an Onov city, given the fact that their constituency is the largest. The Commander General is typically responsible for external affairs, including relationship with the hegemony through the Onovian Diplomatic Corps, which itself includes members of the Cobca Academy Courtiers. The remainder of the now 11-person GFA function then as a unicameral legislative branch, providing an element of oversight to that of the executive authority, as well as focusing on the standardization of regulations across the planet and the allocation of the biennial budget for the distribution of federal grants and resources. There is considerable decentralization of power from a daily perspective to the administrative functions of individual settlements to local associations, with their size being about 50 to 150,000 people, proving comparatively easy to manage and govern at a local level. All association members at a local or federal level serve 2-year terms and are then banned from random selection for the following 4 terms. No GFA member or of a Commander General can ever be selected for a political office again at the end of their terms, and there are no political parties under this system. Onov maintains no planetary or interstellar military and have no hegemony forces positioned within the system outside of defense advisors and a military attachés to the Commander General. The population of Onov is generally be characterized as pacifist and non-interventionist, with the wars of the hegemony generally viewed poorly by the populace, particularly the current eternal war against that of Khoton. While opposition is widely understood by the hegemony to these conflicts, the lack of vocal resistance and the non-participatory stance of Onov is generally tolerated and accepted as the price of leveraging Onov's prodigious industrial output into the hegemony economy. It is, however, secretly understood at the highest levels of the hegemony that while Getsum Prime warriors may represent the most fearsome military threat in terms of armed conflict, the dependence of Galador on the capacity of Onovian production and engineering, and the technological superiority that they represent, is a greater threat to the hegemony in the long term. For it is feared that if ever Onovian interests turned away from the hegemony and they shed their pacifist and non-interventionist ways, it is likely that the 1 million strong population of the world of Onov could manifest in short order weapons of war of galactic significance that could threaten the very existence of worlds, if not the galaxy as a whole. And that is where we're going to leave this episode. Once again, a little bit longer, because we're dealing with the society and economy, but there is a really interesting mix here of communalist, industrial, mercantile, and Thrall elements to this setting. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do not hesitate, but hit that like button and comment below. Also, if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from them, so make sure you go and check that out. But that is it for today. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and may the journey continue. Hey!